My name is Junhee, and I live in Poland. And today, I'm going to be discussing something pretty serious. The Jeffrey Epstein files. Now, there was an interview recently about the Epstein files that happened here in Poland. And unfortunately, it happened where I live, in Kraków. And so a lot of this information you can actually go and look up yourself. I'm actually going to link the Justice Department where you can actually look into these files yourself if you're interested. There's a lot. There's over 3 million files about all of this. And honestly, some of the stuff that I saw and read, it's terrifying and horrific. So with that said, let's get into this interview and let me know if you agree with this individual or if you don't agree. Let me know in the comments.
Any person named in these documents is presumed innocent unless proven guilty in a court of law. References in the files are allegations and do not by themselves establish criminal liability or constitute an admission of guilt.
There's also this tranche of the Epstein files. Now, on Tuesday, the Polish government, under Prime Minister Tusk, said there's going to be a special task force to examine those links between Poland and Jeffrey Epstein, very much to do with the sex trafficking links, potentially. So I just want to get your sense of this on what kind of evidence do you think there is at the moment, or what could there be, and what could those links potentially then be at this point in time?
Nobody knows, because so far what we know from medias are very, very limited, and about Poles involved in those situations. Most of them are models, and those models, of course, are in troubles, but not our country is in trouble. And our surprise that it is published as our government action. Of course, it should be examined by experts, but in quiet, in silence, not so public, because it seems to me like a public relation event, something like this. It is not Poles involved in those situations, Polish politicians, Polish businessmen, etc. I will be very surprised if it will be true. But it is not reason to make it on those high level. If they will do this, they should make it very quiet. What for it is done so public? It is useless.
Mm-hmm. Well, but then again, at the same time, these files in the United States have been made public. They are accessible by the public. That includes not just journalists in the United States, but also other journalists, members of the public can access this. And there will still be many questions. So I suppose in some of those mentions as well, I mean, there are millions of these documents that have been released, so still combing through all of these. But what we have is already, it seems, various mentions of Vladimir Putin in correlation with Jeffrey Epstein, just from an intelligence point of view and your experience and, let's say, your mind. How credible of a link? I mean, if that indeed is a mention, what does that say about the reach of Epstein, the possible implications of that in our region, in Poland, potentially elsewhere? How far do you think this could go?
Of course, some links shows that hands of Epstein got also Poland, especially Kraków and other places, but it is rare. It is few such links. Gigantic problem. It is at United States. It touched personally President Trump, of course, main political personalities, as well former politicians, businessmen like Gates, of course, but not in Poland. We got any problem with this. Only few people got problem, and not important people for our policy, for our social situation, etc. In America, in some countries in Europe, it is really huge problem. Mm-hmm. Not only in Poland.
I think it's a huge problem globally, as we see with Prince Andrew, as we see with the
Miroslav Lajčák, the national security advisor to Slovakia's prime minister, has resigned after documents released by the U.S. showed he exchanged messages about girls and diplomacy with the late offender Jeffrey Epstein, allegedly.
This isn't just isolated in America. This is everywhere. This is beyond countries. This is about the elites. And in my opinion, the veil that's being lifted, and we're actually seeing what these people believe, their actions, what they do. And in my humble opinion, I believe it's satanic and it's disgusting. So you don't have to take my word for it. I highly recommend each of you, if you are really interested in this, look into it. Look into the files. Like I mentioned, I'm going to link that so you have the opportunity to actually go into the Justice Department and look at these links, these files for yourself.
All right. So, yeah, and this is a new announcement just on Tuesday. So the special task force, as you say, will now get going. Realistically, as you said, you've been critical saying this should not be so public, but realistically, how long do these kind of probes take? How long will we, if at all, get information that they have tangible evidence? Will this be made public? Will it not? How long are we going to be waiting for this?
I think it is a few weeks. It is not longer because, as I said, it is only few documents which touch Poland directly on Polish people. Not huge problem for experts. When they got access to these files, it will be very short time. It is simple to check it, and it could be after 1 week, 2 weeks, and if they will got access to those what Americans published. Problem is, of course, with these hidden files, secret files. They are in work by FBI, but other institutions in America. But I doubt if we got access to those because they are in process. Mm. It is not reason the American will get it. They interest mostly in American situation, and really it is huge problem for America, not for Poland particularly.
But at the same time, we have already had a resignation, for instance, in Slovakia of this very close security and diplomat to Robert Fico, who was also in these files. I mean, I'm also curious, let's say if this probe does go on, you said it might take weeks, and Polish authorities will want access to some of these sealed documents in the United States. How far do you think this probe in Poland will go in trying to get those files that are currently sealed by the United States?
Among Epstein, I see any Polish politicians, any Polish diplomats, any Polish businessmen, only few women. It is all. But that I think it is very painful for those women, but not for Poland as well. This is situation which couldn't be so carefully examined. Mm-hmm.
And just final quick point, some of the others have been mentioned as well. I mean, we're looking at former Prince Andrew, etc. Do you think that this extends further? Other parts of Europe, there have been high-level individuals, royalty mentioned. Where else could this go in Europe? Just briefly before I close.
Possibly, but I think what happened, it is mostly what could happen. That is a situation that after publishing those files, journalists start to examine those, and it is reason why those situations like Slovakia in Norway happened. But we should wait and see what will be further, especially in countries with, when Epstein got relations, got friends, relatives or other people which got involved in his businesses. We'll see. But I am quite sure that not concern Poland, that it will not concern Poland.
I'm going to stop right there because it's practically the end of this interview. For me personally, I vehemently disagree with this gentleman said. I bet that he is significantly smarter than I am. He's in the intelligence agencies for Poland, but I think the way he is coming across is very reductive and dismissive. The fact that he's saying it's not Polish politicians or Polish businessmen, but only a few amount of women is, to me, insulting. You are dismissing people who allegedly could have been children, young women who were gaslighted, manipulated to join human trafficking or SA trafficking. And we know Jeffrey Epstein was prosecuted for
a 2008 conviction. Epstein pleaded guilty to reduced state charges of soliciting and procuring an underage girl for prostitution, following a plea deal.
It wasn't just a few documents. It was documents saying that how
the fact that so many people either came from Poland or passed through Poland is evidence of how Central and Eastern Europe, CEE, became a favored hunting ground for Epstein and his associates tasked with procuring girls. Evidence gathered by the FBI makes clear that Epstein liked girls from CEE and that the number of potential victims could run into the hundreds as he developed a huge and well-oiled trafficking operation spanning the region. In a statement to the FBI made in 2020, one witness said she saw name redacted procure young underage girls for Ghislaine Maxwell about 5 times a week for a period of 2 years, from 2002 and 2004. Name redacted seemed to target a lot of Eastern European girls new to New York, telling them Epstein would help. Further evidence submitted to the FBI alleges that in 2017, Epstein appeared at an event in the U.S. in a breakfast in a robe, SIC, with 2 young Eastern European girls who witnesses say looked to be 15-16. In an email to Epstein, one of his associates suggests buying into a chain of modeling agencies with offices in Poland and the Czech and Slovak Republic, saying it would be a great investment for your purposes. The idea being to cast a very wide net through scouting and development, contests, etc., so that there is always a steady stream of fresh new faces. Daniel Siad, one of Epstein's hunters, in 2009 sent an email to Epstein saying that he would spend June and July scouting in small villages in Poland, the Czech and Slovak republics, and Hungary for girls. I will make you a great surprise when you come to Paris, he concludes.
Do you think you're the devil himself?
No, but I do have a good mirror.
When you look into the files, and I don't want to discuss the files here. Like I said, there's a link. You're more than happy to look into it. Obviously, there's Google. Google has a lot of stuff. But we're talking about possibly young children, young girls. These young girls could have been your sister, could have been a friend, could have been a family member. They are Polish people, and they were allegedly being trafficked out of Poland. So this is beyond political sides. This is beyond if you like Tusk or if you don't like Tusk. To me, I think Poland and every single country needs to look into this, because this isn't like someone just jaywalking or doing speeding tickets or even embezzling money or laundering or fraud. This is human trafficking, allegedly, that dealt with SA to minor girls. And so if we're going to say, well, let's put the brakes up, let's keep this quiet, it almost sounds like you're trying to protect certain people, right? It almost seems like, I might be complicit in this. I'm not saying he is, but to me, that's the kind of energy that I'm getting off from it. Now, could I be completely off base? Of course. I'm not going to die on this hill, right? I'm not married to this idea. But for me, somebody who was in a cult, somebody who has trauma from my own past, this hits a very deep nerve within myself. And I think this is something that needs to be discussed, because a long time ago, 2016, there was a thing called Pizzagate. And people are like, oh my gosh, it was real. Well, yeah, people were talking about this. We had whistleblowers. But instead of actually looking into it, you had media personnel, the news, you had politicians, and they would say, this is just a conspiracy theorist. These are all lies. This is all fabrication. This is all because the right wants to control the media or the left wants to control how you think. So they bastardize the story. They create narratives to create polarization. And I think we need to do our due diligence and our own personal responsibility to actually look into this. Don't become incredulous. Don't say, you're crazy and I don't want to believe in this. You're entitled to believe in that, but I will also challenge your narrative and why you believe in that. Because I think this is actually happening. I think there is a cabala of people, of the very top elites who are controlling the rest of the world. With the trilateral commissions, the WEF with Davos, with the CFRs, with the G20 meetings. I mean, this is crazy. This is absolutely insane. We have to put our critical thinking caps on, ladies and gentlemen. We have to think beyond politics because that's what they want. They want to divide us, to control us, right? The old saying, as they say, order out of chaos. This isn't my words. This is their words.
What your message is to the Iraqi people who are wondering.
You're free, and freedom is beautiful. And, it'll take time to restore chaos and order, but we're order out of chaos, but we will.
The New World Order. This is not my words. This is their words.
And I believe the progress that we have made in the partnership sets us up well for the New World Order.
There's a massive shift happening now in terms of world alliances long term.
Well, it's definitely, I think, a new world order. I think the president has sought to it. There's a new world order in trade. There's a new world order in globalization and the way that we invest in our economy versus, foreign supply chains. There's a new world order, and the president is willing to shake up some old alliance structures. I mean, NATO, I think, is much different because of the president's leadership than it was 10 years ago. It was sort of coasting. It was effectively a protectorate of the United States of America.
So a lot of these things are coming to light with the whole Diddy conspiracies, with all the Jeffrey Epstein conspiracies. This is all coming to light. And again, you don't have to believe in me. I'm not trying to create a content so you believe in what I'm saying. What I'm trying to do is let's be critical in the way we think, because this is affecting real people, real humans. And unfortunately, it looks like it's happened here in Poland. So I don't know what this gentleman's narrative is. I don't know why he's saying we need to keep everything quiet. It only affects America. Clearly it doesn't. Look into the files. We look into all the names. And the fact that President Donald Trump is mentioned in it a lot, and a lot of people who are conservatives or MAGA or whatever, they're not talking about it. Sorry to cut in. I just want to make it very clear. I am not saying any of these people are guilty. I'm not saying that Donald Trump is guilty of being in the Epstein files. But what I am saying is that he is listed in the Epstein files. And I think it's unusual that a lot of these conservative YouTube channels are not really talking about it, which, to be honest, is concerning. But like I said, I am not indicting him. I'm not saying he's guilty. But like I said, I think it's important that we do look into the information. Now, you may disagree with me, and that's fine. And I'm not here to say that what I believe or what I think is the absolute truth, because I am open to listen to other opinions. I'm open to hear what many of you have to say or think, or may even disagree. But I'm not here to argue. I'm not here to create echo chambers. I'm here to have a dialogue. So let's just really keep that in mind, that all these people that are mentioned in this Jeffrey Epstein list, they're all innocent until proven guilty. But I think we need to have a deep investigation to really know exactly what happened with a lot of these people, a lot of these global leaders, for the sake of the people, these young women, these women who were allegedly assaulted, essay, and trafficked throughout the global world. So we'll get back into it. Look, I don't want to bring politics involved. What I'm trying to say is there is clearly this cover-up that's happening. And I think a lot of people who are looking at it are like, holy shit, this is real. There's an absolute cover-up that's happening. But people are so into their bias, their own, this could never happen. This is all crazy. And when you believe in that, they win. Look, if we all looked into it and government actually looked into this and they found, hey, nothing here, this was just all hogwash, this was all bullshit, then I would be like, yeah, you're right. I was incorrect. But if we don't do that, they win. Whoever they are. Whoever these people who are making these decisions, the arbiter of how our culture is changing in front of our eyes, the arbiters of why we're seeing a lot of migrants coming through Europe, the arbiter of these bills such as the Mercosur bills and stuff like that that's affecting here in the EU. The fact that we're making deals with India and looking into China and stuff like that, I think we need to become a little bit more suspicious and be more proactive and say, hey, what the hell's going on here? Because a lot of these deals are allowing these people from other countries to come into the EU. Sorry, I'm going down the political route. I don't know exactly what's happening, obviously, right? I have this very cursory understanding. So I'm literally the wrong person. You should ask like all the details and the nuance and all the fine detail. But I will say this. I disagree with this gentleman and what he was saying. I think it shouldn't be quiet. I think that we need to make it as transparent as possible, where we're seeing exactly what's going on. Because like I said, these aren't just small little cases. It isn't like it's money laundering or fraud. This is trafficking of minor people, of minor children. And that's why, which is crazy, in the United States, and I'm not sure if it's like that here, but instead of calling them, it starts with a P and it ends with edophile, they were calling them MAP, minor attracted people. This is what they were trying to produce in America and trying to pass, right? With quote unquote the woke left, saying, well, we're not with a P edophiles, we are MAPs, we are minor attractive people, which is crazy to me that they're trying to pass this. It's insane. That is crazy. Because personally, and I'm saying this not as facts, I'm not saying that this is unequivocal, but personally, I think there is a Kabbalah, like I mentioned, and I think a lot of it has to do with hurting children. The files are crazy. Like one of the files, they're talking about how they were taking children's excrements and eating it. I mean, you can literally Google that. It's insane. So let me know, Poland. Do you agree? Do you not care? Do you think that I'm off base, or do you agree with what I'm saying or some of the things I'm saying? Let me know, because I am curious of what you think, right? Because I don't think this is just an America thing. I think this happened all over the world, with possibly with Russia, with possibly with Mossad, with Israel's intelligence, with the CIA, allegedly, possibly, with whomever. This isn't just isolated to America. This appears to be happening all over the world. I know this content was a little heavy, but it's something that, at least for me, I'm very much interested in, because I think this is important. And I want to educate myself as much as possible so I know what we are dealing with. If you do like this type of content, and if you want to build a community with me, I do ask if you can please like, share, comment, and subscribe. And let's build this community together. Again, thank you everyone so much. Thank you for supporting this channel. And so with that said, and without further ado, let's get into it.